Go. So here I am, Andrew Gibbons, and today I've got Rebecca Norton with me, and we're going to explore this slide, the 3 stages in reflection for learning. It's a slide, it's an issue that interests us both in respect of our own learning and that we try and create in others. So Rebecca, I'm bored of hearing myself talk as I already am. What does this immediately mean for you?
I think it's a really interesting concept, reflection for action, in action and on action. I think most people will think about reflection as an after thing, sort of you do it something after you've done something. So I think this is an interesting concept to get people to think about it before they do it, and then in it when we're actually in action. So I think probably the one that people are least likely to do is the reflection for action, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting because the word reflection to me does carry with it a kind of inbuilt look back factor.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I think if we can get people to think about things before the activity, then it will probably make it, 1, more effective, and 2, be sort of more enjoyable potentially as well if you plan for something, and less frustrating actually as well. So yeah, so I think if you can anticipate what you're going to do and how do you make this work and what challenges might I come across and how will I tackle those challenges, then it doesn't seem quite as daunting once you're in the action or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I think so. Once you start peeling the layers away, there's quite a bit of complexity around these things, because if all we're doing is reflecting retrospectively, we can't influence anything to come, can we? Because it's happened. So I think you're right. The more ready we are, the more prepared, the more we can influence an activity, then the more value we can gain from that experience, whatever it might be.
Yeah, definitely. And the other step in there then is when you're in the activity, whatever it is that you're doing, if you are self-aware enough to recognize, oh, this is happening, or I'm feeling in this way, then you also give yourself a bit of breathing space to adjust it. So if something isn't working, if you're able to step back and not get caught up in too much of an emotional response to it, then you can often adjust it and you can actually correct and make the experience end better. You know, it might not be starting off the way you want it to go, but it doesn't mean to say that you have to continue down that track. But I think you have to be quite self-aware to get to that point. You have to recognize that something's not working, and also be able to have that step back, because often when something's not working, we get angry, we get frustrated, we get upset, and then again that stops us from doing good things, as it were.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's only, I think, when you explore these things and articulate them interactively that you fully peel back the complexity of something which appears to be very straightforward. Because in this conversation, I'm thinking about things for the first time, such as, yes, we can influence a learning experience, which is after all what this context is. We can influence it. We don't just have to be passive recipients of something happening, but we can only do that if we're ready for it and we recognize it when it's happening.
Yes. Yeah, and I think if you can recognize that this could be a learning experience, rather than just getting upset about something not working or it's not going how you thought it was going to go, and be able to sort of think, okay, well, what can I learn from this? What can I do now to stop things from getting any worse? But also, what can I do next time to prevent this from happening? So
and it doesn't have to be something going wrong, does it? It could be, hey, this is going really well. How can I think now about how to make it go even better? Because sometimes we think of learning as a remedial corrective thing. It shouldn't be. It should be about enhancing and making positive an experience.
Yeah, and maybe that's a really good point, is actually maybe that's how you develop good habits. If you reflect and think, oh, I'm really enjoying this is really helping me.
Like it.
Oh, I must remember that this is how it feels when I do this, and therefore I will do this again.
Yeah, because it's almost an insult to people. You've got a lot to learn. We use learning in an abusive way, don't we? And actually, I like what you're saying. The more conscious and deliberate we are about our learning, the more we can enjoy that experience and get value from it.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's about being present in the moment to some extent as well, isn't it? It's just, and I think that's how you enjoy something as well. Being present in the moment is it allows you to be fully aware of what's going on and how things are sort of panning out. And yeah, I think for me that links to sort of the mindfulness almost as well. Being mindful about what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that you think that reflecting for action, the readiness, the preparedness is the difficult one. I could well come round to your way of thinking when I reflect on this conversation. But my immediate reaction is for me, being a more excitable, less mindful person, if you like. I think the middle one's my problem, recognizing that something is a potential learning experience when I'm in it, and not being caught up with all the other stuff, as you say, maybe the emotions, maybe the self-questioning, maybe just the need to focus on something important that's going on. It doesn't have to be too wrapped up in emotional stuff. It could just be intellectually demanding. And for me, as someone who can't concentrate very well and gets caught up in things, I think sometimes I think, oh, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I do that? Almost immediately afterwards, I'm driving home or whatever. And because I get caught up with that and I don't reflect in action very well.
Yeah. And I suppose that's where the reflection for action can be really helpful. Because if you recognize that that's one of the things that you struggle with, then what can you do beforehand that will help you during the activity? So you recognize, I easily get sidetracked by things, so how am I going to keep myself back on track? How am I not going to get distracted? Or if I do get distracted, how can I help myself get focused again? That's the value in that, isn't it?
Again, any reflection on action after the event loses the opportunity to influence because it's happened. So what you're saying to yourself at the very least is, when I next do this, don't make these mistakes again. Or as you say, much more valuable is, before I make the same mistake as I did last time, let's not do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, because I do try and do quite a bit of reflection, but it almost, like you say, once you've done the activity, you've done the activity. And yes, you can think, right, well, next time I'll do it differently. But then next time comes, and if you're not preparing yourself. So I think that reflection for action thing is a really important step. So the reflection for action, that's when you look at reflection on action and think, okay, this is what happened last time. So how can I prevent from that? So yes, it's almost like the missing step for me. I think that's perhaps something that I would like to work on more.
I think I'm coming round to where you're at, because you're absolutely right. It's only in advance of something that you can proactively and preventatively, if you like, influence it. And of course, again, preventative sounds like put something right that went wrong last time. It could be, hey, I did this really well last time, let's do it again. So the more ready you are to do something right, the more likely it is you'll do something right.
Yeah, very much so.
I think there's a lot here that we could help people with in our role of helping others to learn, because I think I'm with you. The vast majority of the human race intuitively, I think of reflection as a backward-looking, retrospective thing, and to open people up into three, and particularly the first being the most significant aspects of this, could be very enlightening for people.
Yeah, I think even if it's just a very simple few minutes before you start something, right? Okay, what do I need to do? And even sort of preparing yourself, when you're sitting down, I think maybe for people who's working from home, I mean, hopefully now people have got used to that, but actually, how do you set up your workspace? How do you make sure that you're going to be productive that day? What things do you need to put in place? Do you need simple things is, right, have I got something nearby that I need? What am I going to need? Or how do I stop the kids interrupting me, or whatever it is that might happen? So it's sort of thinking ahead, isn't it, and planning, right, how can I make this the best experience for everybody?
I think where I'm going with this in the coaching context is sitting down with the client and saying, when this happened last time, how did it go? What did you do well? What didn't go so well? Let's talk about it before it happens. And while it's going on, are you going to give yourself the headspace to think, hey, it's happening, but I'm also learning.